This wasn't supposed to happen. Not here. Not like this. Not in front of a packed house at Truist Park with millions watching around the world. The All-Star Game, once a relaxing break in the dog days of summer, had suddenly become the stage for one of the wildest, most unforgettable endings in the history of baseball. For decades, the Midsummer Classic offered fans a glimpse of baseball's brightest stars sharing the field for a night of spectacle. And while the stakes had varied, sometimes meaningful, sometimes not, nothing could have prepared us for the shockwave that came at the end of this game. No walk-off single, no strikeout to seal it, no drawn-out extra innings. Instead, a swing-off. 3 batters, 3 swings each. A sudden death showdown that looked more like the home run derby than the all-star game we thought we knew. But perhaps that's the point. Perhaps this game, this night, was never about what we thought it would be. Maybe it was about what baseball needed it to become: fast, explosive, unpredictable, emotional. The journey to that final swing was packed with storylines, momentum shifts, heroics, controversy, and drama. It's a story that doesn't start in the 9th inning. It starts the moment the players were announced, the lineups revealed, and the eyes of the baseball world turned to Atlanta. Let's go back to the beginning. Truist Park had never looked brighter. Nestled in the heart of Georgia, the stadium buzzed for hours before first pitch. The streets around the Battery Atlanta were flooded with fans, all wearing the colors of their favorite teams, eager to see the biggest names in baseball collide. Kids clutched home run balls from batting practice. Fans chanted players' names from behind dugouts. It was festive, electric. And yet, no one knew they were about to witness history. This wasn't just a game. It was a proving ground for a league trying to reinvent itself. In the past few years, MLB had made sweeping changes: a pitch clock to speed up play, larger bases to encourage stolen bases, and rules designed to keep games tight and thrilling. But the swing-off? That was different. That wasn't just about pacing. It was about redefining how a game ends. The game began like many others, with flair, fire, and fastballs. The National League wasted no time. In the bottom of the first, Ketel Marte roped a double down the left field line, scoring 2 and igniting a crowd that was already buzzing. Then Pete Alonso, the polar bear himself, stepped up in the third. With the count full, he crushed a hanging slider into the second deck, a no-doubter that brought everyone to their feet. It was a 3-run homer, and it made the score 6-0 before the American League even had a chance to respond. At this point, most fans thought it was over. The National League was dominating. The AL bats looked flat. And in most All-Star games, that would have been the story. The NL finally waking up, taking back the spotlight, and coasting to an easy win. But this night refused to be predictable. It started with Brent Rooker, the same Rooker who had battled injuries the previous season, the same Rooker who wasn't even a lock for the All-Star roster until a last-minute vote from the players. He stepped up with 2 men on in the top of the 6th. On the second pitch, he got a fastball middle in. And he didn't miss. A towering drive to left center. Gone. Suddenly, it was 6-3. In the 8th, Bobby Witt Jr. laced a single through the infield to bring in another run. The AL dugout came alive. The fans, split between leagues, now leaned in. The energy shifted. Then came the 9th. With 2 outs and a man on second, Stephen Kwan stepped in. Known more for contact than power, Kwan worked the count full, fouled off a tough changeup, and lined a single into right. The runner scored. Tie game, 6-6. The stadium roared. For the American League, manager Aaron Boone faced immediate pressure. Who would he choose? He had big names at his disposal. Aaron Judge, who had hit more than 30 homers already this season. Cal Raleigh, one of the league's most dangerous lefty power threats. Caminero, the young phenom who had lit up StatCast with a 118-mile-per-hour blast just 2 weeks earlier. But Boone went a different route. He picked Brent Rooker, Randy Arozarena, and Jonathan Aranda. The baseball world was confused. Fans on social media exploded with opinions. Pundits debated the logic live on air. Boone explained later, it wasn't about name recognition. It was about who was warm, who had the swing already working, who wanted the moment. He stood by his choice, but he also knew it would define his all-star legacy. Brent Rooker stepped up first, the same guy who had ignited the comeback with his 6th inning homer. He looked calm, focused. The pitcher delivered 3 batting practice-style tosses. Rooker's first swing, gone. His second, gone again. His third, a hard liner off the wall, close but not out. 2 home runs. Next up, Randy Arozarena, the man with a flair for the dramatic. He worked his timing. First swing, fly ball to center. Second, a majestic blast to left, cleared the wall by a few feet. Third, grounded. 1 home run. Final batter, Jonathan Aranda, young, talented but not known for power. He gave it his all. 3 swings, 3 loud outs. Total, 3 home runs for the American League. It was respectable, but it didn't feel safe. The NL sent out their big guns. First up, Kyle Schwarber, the man built for moments like this. His first swing, an absolute moonshot into the night. His second, gone again. His third, the crowd barely had time to breathe. Another homer, 3 for 3. The stadium erupted, tied. Next was Kyle Stowers, not as well known, but a lefty with pop. His first swing, line drive homer, 4 total, game over. The NL wins 7-6. Schwarber's perfect round sealed it, but the story was far from over. Kyle Schwarber didn't have a hit during the actual game. No singles, no doubles, no RBIs. But in the moment when it counted most, under the pressure of a historic first-of-its-kind swing-off, he was perfect. 3 swings, 3 home runs. And with that, he sealed the National League's victory. For his performance, Schwarber was awarded the All-Star Game MVP. It was the kind of moment that elevates a player's legacy, not just for what he did in a stat sheet, but for how he rose to the moment. His name will now forever be linked to the swing-off era's debut. In the post-game interview, Schwarber was humble as always. "I just tried to keep it simple," he said. "See ball, hit ball. It was fun. I'm just glad I could help the team finish it off." But make no mistake, this wasn't just luck. Schwarber has long been known as a power hitter capable of rising to the occasion. From his epic playoff runs with the Cubs and Phillies to his moonshot home runs in pressure-packed situations, this was just another chapter in his growing list of iconic moments. After the final swing, the NL dugout cleared. Players stormed the field, showering Schwarber with water, Gatorade, and shouts of disbelief. Stowers, who technically had the walk-off home run, simply pointed to Schwarber and said, "That's the MVP. I was just the closer." Across the field, the AL dugout was quiet. Boone leaned against the rail watching the celebration. You could see the wheels turning. Would fans forgive his picks? Would the media? Would his own players? Later, Boone addressed reporters. "Look, I went with my gut. I'll take heat for it, that's fine. I believed in those guys." Rooker stepped up. "Randy gave us a shot. Aranda had good swings. They just didn't land. That's baseball. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you tip your cap." As expected, baseball Twitter lit up like a pinball machine. Within seconds of Schwarber's third blast, hashtags like Nair Swing Off, Why Schwarbomb, and Mon Midsummer Madness were trending worldwide. Clips of each home run flooded Instagram Reels and TikTok. Some were synced to dramatic music. Others added fake Final Boss graphics over Schwarber's silhouette. One fan edited the final swing with a WWE-style announcer screaming, "He's broken in half." The memes, the GIFs, the slow-motion replays. It was instant internet gold. Even players from other sports chimed in. NBA star Damian Lillard tweeted, "Baseball got a shootout now? This is fire." LeBron James posted 3 fire emojis and tagged Schwarber, "Dog." In a sport built on tradition, change is rarely embraced. But the swing-off changed everything. Compare this to previous All-Star games. The 2002 tie in Milwaukee left fans frustrated. The 2008 15-inning marathon wore down players. In recent years, the game had seen declining interest. But this format brought urgency, tension, and a finish that people would talk about for years. And while purists might groan, the response from most fans was overwhelmingly positive. "Best All-Star game I've ever seen," one fan posted. "This needs to be permanent." After the game, both leagues held media scrums. Players were asked their thoughts on the swing-off format. Aaron Judge, "I love it. It's different. It's intense. It puts a spotlight on our game's best skill. Power." Mookie Betts, "Man, I was nervous just watching. I can't imagine standing in that box with millions watching, but it was awesome." Shohei Ohtani, through his interpreter, said, "I hope this is something we see more of. It gives fans something special, and it's fun for us too." The All-Star Game has changed before, from the introduction of fan voting to the switch from determining World Series home field to being an exhibition again. It's a game that evolves. But this swing-off felt like more than an experiment. It felt like a breakthrough. Commissioner Rob Manfred called it a resounding success. "There's always risk with change," Manfred said, "but when you see that kind of energy, that kind of response, from players, fans, media, you know you're onto something." Viewership numbers haven't been released yet, but early data showed a spike in streaming minutes and social media engagement once the swing-off was announced. ESPN's booth team couldn't contain their excitement. Karl Revich called Schwarber's third swing like a walk-off in Game 7. "There it goes, deep into the Atlanta night. Kyle Schwarber has gone 3 for 3 in the swing-off. The National League wins it." Former players in the booth were stunned. David Ortiz laughed uncontrollably. Alex Rodriguez shouted, "I love this format." It wasn't just a game. It was an event. Those lucky enough to be in attendance knew they'd witnessed history. As fans poured out of Truist Park, they told reporters it was the most exciting finish to a game they'd ever seen. One father said, "I brought my son to his first All-Star game tonight. He'll never forget this. Heck, I'll never forget it." Another fan added, "I've watched baseball for 35 years. This was the best ending I've seen." A woman in a Schwarber jersey was crying tears of joy. "I drove 10 hours to see this game, and it was worth every mile." So what comes next? If this swing-off proved anything, it's that baseball still has the ability to surprise, to innovate, to entertain in ways that grab attention, even in an age of constant scrolling and short attention spans. MLB has already confirmed the format will remain for future All-Star games, but the ripple effects could go further. Imagine a modified swing-off in extra innings for regular season games, or a home run derby-style tiebreaker in the postseason. Maybe it won't happen tomorrow, but it's now on the table. For a league that's often criticized for being stuck in the past, this was a leap forward. July 15th, 2025. A day baseball changed. Not because of a trade. Not because of a record broken, but because the game dared to be different. A game tied at 6, a brand new rule, a handful of swings that rewrote what an all-star ending could look like. Schwarber's blast, Boone's gamble, Rooker's redemption, a crowd roaring in disbelief, a country glued to their screens. This wasn't just an all-star game. This was baseball reinventing itself in real time. And if you're still doubting whether this night mattered, just ask yourself this: how many All-Star games can you actually remember? Now add this one to the top of that list, because the swing-off isn't going away.